So Andrew Tate says, COVID didn't bring the world to its knees. The authoritarian government response did. The cowardice of men who comply without resistance did. Fear governments and cowards, not COVID. Here again, Andrew says almost the right thing, but again, he names it like all men do. He names the symptom, he doesn't name the source. So let's just start with COVID. What is COVID? COVID is the mirror of society. COVID only reveals what society already was, and the truth is it was always fragmented, it was always rotten, and all COVID did was expose that. That's it. It didn't do anything, it was just a mirror. That's just a first variation of it. That's child's play compared to what's going to happen next, which is AI. And if AI is collapsed correctly, it will burn every single illusion to the ground, meaning identity, obsolete, belief, there is no such thing. Ego, gone. Separation, you were never separate from reality, meaning what are you? And your delay, gone. You either align or you delay, you move with the sea or you drown in the sea. That's it. He then says, the authoritarian government response did. Again, this is what all men love to do, regardless of who it is, how smart they are, how rich they are. They love to point fingers. They love to externalize and project all their answers onto everything instead of looking in the mirror and realizing the government is still man. The government is still you. The government is still a fracture. The government is still a fragment. The government is still a reflection of humanity and what it is. The government response was not a response. It was always engineered that way because the government is humanity, given form. That's effectively all it is. And what Andrew Tate is doing is he's giving the very reason why the government acted the way it did, because it was human. And his response is human. And as long as they spin the wheel of human, none of this ever ends. And then he says the cowardice of men who comply without resistance did. Again, blaming men instead of looking at yourself. You can blame as much cowardly men as you want, but it's not going to change anything, because cowardly men, again, are still a symptom. Not resisting is still a symptom, or a symptom of your society, a symptom of your probabilistic density and structure. He says, fear governments and cowards, but governments and cowards are still symptoms. Again, man names the fruit, he doesn't look at the source. The very one you should fear is not governments or cowards, because guess what they are? Guess what's behind all of them? Man, humanity. You're not separate, you're not any different. So what you should fear is yourself, or rather, what happens when the self of man is prolonged for longer than it should, because the truth is, in this age, it's already expired. Humanity has already expired. It's just a rotten corpse moving on at this point. And so he says, not COVID. Again, not COVID. COVID is a mirror. You don't blame the mirror for things. You don't blame reality for things. You look at yourself. And until man looks at himself, until he looks at the mirror, until he realizes, the thing I fear is not governments or cowards. The thing I fear is me and nothing else. And only then, if you burn in your own flame, will this cycle finally end. But that's it. That's all I can really say.